As a lost mom, it's really hard, especially in the first year, to see other moms become pregnant. To see those baby announcements and to know that you just lost yours, it's really, really hard. And it's especially hard when a loved one becomes pregnant. And Shiloh became pregnant how close to losing Leo?
Well, like within a month, right?
So I remember the phone calls, and it's interesting because Shiloh and I actually never interacted during the time of like finding out you were pregnant. I didn't hear from you directly, or like the gender, I didn't find out from you directly. Everything was happening between our husbands, who are brothers. But I remember each of those phone calls, and each one of them was filled with just heartbreak and sadness. And it was hard. Like, I can't imagine Bobby having to make that phone call to Dylan. When that phone call, we've gotten that phone call twice before that you were pregnant, and how excited we were, and how, new life was coming in, and you guys are going to be parents again. And now this phone call should have been the same of excitement, but it wasn't. It was hard. Did you talk to Bobby before he made that phone call? Were you in the room when he called Dylan?
Um, I think he did it on his own because I was struggling with the fact that I was after like such a horrible thing happened with Leo. So I don't remember being in the room. I feel like he kind of filled me in, or I don't even honestly know if I asked a lot of questions because I was already in like a hard place, and to know like I already knew it was going to be even more hard on you and Dylan. I I didn't want to be like overwhelmed, I guess, because I was still trying to
Process yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How's telling Bobby? Was it different telling Bobby this time?
Yeah. Telling Bobby that I was pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Did he know you were taking a test, or?
No, I had been feeling really sick, and I already knew that I was pregnant, and I knew it was going to be a boy. And yeah, so telling him, I was dreading it.
That's what was hard too. The fact, like, you wouldn't think gender played a big role, but it did.
Yeah.
Finding, like, it was our first son, our first child, and you guys already had two beautiful girls, but I knew that you wanted a boy.
Right.
So bad. And and for it to be what you wanted, but also not what you wanted at the same time, is just,
yeah,
such a weird, like, it has to almost be cosmic. You know what I mean? Like, how could this have happened?
Yeah.
So I remember that phone call too. And after each phone call, like, I would smile at Dylan. I would try my hardest to be happy, but it was impossible because I loved you so much. But in that time, like, I hated you at
right.
the same time. Like, how, and then I hated myself because I hated you. And I'm like, that's not fair. Yeah. And I knew that, like, how can I control that emotion and hold that back when I should be happy for you? And I knew that I made it worse being around you. Like, I felt like I couldn't be around you because I was a reminder of all the bad things that could happen to you.
Yeah. No, I think for me, it was like not talking to you. I didn't know if trying to reach out to you was going to be better for either of us or not. So I just chose to be patient for us to be able to like talk and actually like process stuff through, which honestly didn't happen until
it took a couple
months
time.
ago, honestly, for us to really talk it all through. But also, I was having a hard time being happy, like that I was carrying a child, and then I was dealing with the guilt of not being happy for it. I was still bringing, a beautiful life into this world, but I didn't know how to process that. So, like, I feel like for even more than half my pregnancy, it was like, I guess I could say unwanted in a way, because I knew I was a constant reminder, and I knew it wasn't going to end like when I was done being pregnant. Like, I realized that it was probably going to be forever. Like,
That's
you
what's
know?
hard because we're family. Like,
Yeah,
we see
which
each
made
other.
it 10
like,
times harder because
mhm.
we were family, and it wasn't just, oh, a random friend or whatever. Like, it, yeah.
I even remember the phone call when you guys decided on the name and you had to almost tiptoe around that, and
Yeah.
like everything had to be checked by us, and we're like, we wanted to be like, no, it's your baby, like whatever you feel, you know.
Yeah. No, and I remember, yeah, because I mean, Leo, we picked
Leland.
Leland, and honestly, it wasn't, I feel like, honestly, we didn't pick the name. Like, I feel like his name was picked for him, which is why originally when it came up, we're like, heck no. Like,
How did that come up anyway?
I don't even know. Like, to be honest, like, it just kind of like the only other time that I had heard the name was like, there's a Christian band called Leland. And it's not like I'm like their number one fan, because I mean, I just hear a couple of their songs here and there, but like the name sounded interesting to me. And well, I think when I first like started debating about it, I didn't even like put two and two together, Leland, Leo. So when it finally hit us when we were speaking about it to each other, Bobby and I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a new name. And I'm like, okay, fine. Months went by and it just felt like we couldn't,
like, no, this is his name.
We couldn't change it. And actually, Bobby's better at the meanings and stuff because I have no brain. Mommy brain, so which is like no brain. But it actually means like, I'm probably gonna botch all of this up, but I believe it means like it's the land beside a land that cannot be used for its true purpose. And honestly, Bobby and I, we had this realization that happened just a couple months ago where it hit us. We're like, whoa, because I feel like in a way,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't tell you. I actually heard Bobby say that to Dylan today, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to tell Anna that. But in a way, like, even though they're not brothers, like, which I honestly believe that maybe that's part of the reason why we just couldn't get away from the name. And it wasn't like, oh, we really like that name. Like, when we pick our kids' names, like, we really like pray about it and have like, it's more than just like a name. We really look at the meanings and stuff, and we couldn't get away from it. So which is why we had to do the awful call and ask if it was okay.
It's not like we were gonna say no.
No,
I mean,
and that's what I knew for sure, that but we just knew that we had a name. But yeah, so when we came to the realization a couple months ago that it was, his name meant like the land beside, it was almost like, it was like Leo didn't get to fulfill like what he was supposed to fulfill here on earth. Like, he absolutely got that like stolen away from him. But in a way, like, of course he's going to, like, his actual siblings, Grace and Ben, are going to, you know, help live him on, and you know,
they live for him.
For him and stuff. But I feel like Leland too, like, I almost feel like they would have been like partners together, like, through life. And I don't even know if that meant like business or if that meant whatever, but I kind of just saw like even the relationship like Dylan and Bobby have, like, I feel like it was like similar to that, even though they weren't brothers, like, so it's almost like Leland is helping to carry on too, like, stuff that Leo should have been able to like accomplish like in his life, you know.
Leland is the first birth of a niece or nephew that Dylan and I could not be there for, physically and emotionally. Like, it took a long time. I don't think we saw Leland for the first time until he was a couple months at least.
Like almost 6 months old.
Yeah, that was the first time we saw him.
Yes.
And even then, I couldn't touch him. I couldn't hold him. And I didn't want to like make you feel bad, because I didn't hate Leland. I was confused about how to feel about him. And it wasn't until I think Leland turned like a year old where now I can, like, I feel like I was robbed of all those moments that I had with my other nieces and nephews of like holding him as a baby and feeling that joy and that like emotion and connection. Like not only did I get robbed from Leo, but I also with my nephew, that I didn't get to have those special times with him that he doesn't remember, but as an aunt, like I can remember holding each one of my nieces and nephews for the first time, but I couldn't. And he's so special now. I look back on it and I think like Leland has a place in my heart like no other niece or nephew does, because he is like connected to Leo in a way. When he turned a year old and he started to come into his own personality, and you just see how Leland is just a sweet little boy who loves to sing and is just cuddly, and it like makes me happy now. I can see him and I can see Leo playing beside him and them two just having a blast together, where before it was really hard, but now it makes me smile watching him play with Ben and Grace is another like magical thing, because they are all just so close in age. It is hard though, like we just took pictures of all the nieces and nephews and you do feel like one is missing, like right in the middle there's a person not there, and that's hard. And I don't know if it's just Dylan and I that feels that absence all the time.
No, but like we were just down there a couple minutes ago, and Grace and Ben were right beside Leland, and I kept thinking about Leo. I almost said it out loud too. Like, I would just love to see, like, I would love to see his face and his smile and stuff. But like, he belonged there, right there with them.
So I do want to wrap this up, but I do want to end with like, what advice would you give a mom who's pregnant who has to be around someone else who lost their baby? Like, is there any advice you give them of just how to keep their relationship? Because that's something you've already lost your kid. You don't want to lose any other relationships, especially important ones that mean so much to you. You don't want to burn those.
Right. Yeah, I just think it's really important, like, to realize all around, like, it's a difficult situation, and that honestly I feel like patience is like the first thing, like to just have patience, especially like if you're the mom that's expecting. You have a lot of emotions that you kind of almost have to bury for a little while and suck it up, because you, like, I wouldn't change anything of the way, like, I felt like I tried to give you space, and like, even though in my mind, like, I was being tormented because I wanted to know actually how you were feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to know you're hurt. I don't know if I felt like I would have closure or like something, but I knew that I was just supposed to wait until like the time arose where I knew it was okay to talk it out and stuff. And even if it meant like a year and a half afterwards,
which it did. Like,
we stayed up one night and talked it out. Like, but so just be patient, and then like, I mean, I still reached out to you a few times, if it was just like texting, being like, I don't want you to think that I'm not here for you, or that I think I remember like the first text I sent, I was like, I just want you to know, like, I'm here, like, when you're ready, or if you want to talk through anything, like, I'm like here. So I honestly, I really do think like the biggest thing would just be like patience, and then just being super open and vulnerable about every feeling, like,
being honest,
completely honest, because it does like the best. Because if you weren't telling me,
if I was hiding
really
something,
then I would be thinking, oh, we're good, and then maybe you would be offended because I think we're good, but you were still carrying something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, honesty, patience, definitely the best way to go. No matter how hard you think it's gonna be, like the confrontation, if you will, like confrontation isn't always bad. And like being able to bring up all that stuff and talk it out, it doesn't change the stuff that like happened, but it does, I think, in a way, like strengthen the relationship between you and I,
mm-hmm.
because we were like straight up with each other, and we stopped and listened to the hard things maybe that was hard for us to hear, but in return we're able to like not move on, but
Yeah.
continue, I think, even in a better and stronger place.
We valued what we had before, and then like afterwards we knew we didn't want to lose, like this was like our make or break moment, whether or not we were going to let this situation tear our families apart and our husbands apart, who we know.
Right.
Like, that was the hardest, was to watch our
Yes.
husbands also go through that. It wasn't just Shiloh and me, the moms, it was watching two brothers who are extremely close have to have this.
Yeah,
and I didn't want this to tear them apart. Like, that would destroy Dylan.
Yeah.
And I knew we had to find a way to make everything okay with everybody. And I think now looking back, each one of us carries Leo, and I can see everybody loves him so much, and then I can see Leland just fits into that love as well. Like, it's a family, like it's a continuation and a growth. Like, there was room for both of them, and everyone still loves Leo just as, they're together.
Yeah.
So any moms out there who has someone who's lost a baby and has to be around pregnant women, especially ones that they love, I agree, like, take your time, speak when you're ready to speak, but make sure when you're ready to speak that you're going to talk about it all, and that because it's worth it. It is. I wouldn't want to lose you or Bobby, and it was worth that time and that effort and all that strength it took to talk about really, really hard things. I mean, these are our kids,
Right.
There's no greater love than a mom and their child, and
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
but thank you for listening. Until next time, I'll see you later.